Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another episode of Have You Seen It with Charles and Denise. But I'm here solo this week. Charles is away this week, but he will return next week. Never fear. So, folks, I will be giving you two movie recommendations and two nailed it. So, without further ado, I'll get started with movie number one. First movie is titled The White Tiger. This is a Netflix original, and it stars Adarsh Gaurav as Balram, Raj Kumar Rao as Ashok, and Priyanka Chopra Jonas as Pinky. And this story takes place in India, and the character Balram comes from the lower caste system in India. He lives with his family, his parents, his grandmother, and a lot of other extended family members. And he's basically a servant and not very good at it. And he also works in the tea shop that is run by his family. Well, Balram has aspirations to become a driver for the landlord who comes by weekly, monthly to get the rent basically from the people who live in his small town. And with his wit and his cunning ways, he manipulates himself into an interview with the landlord, asking to become his driver. But not just the driver of the landlord, but he really wants to be the driver for his son, who is Ashok, and he is married to Pinky. So fast forward, he manipulates himself into this position. He becomes a driver. He is a loyal subject. He waits on them hand and foot and does this even though he's treated terribly by Ashok's father, but seems to have a pretty cordial relationship with Ashok. Fast forward even further, one night, Ashok, his wife Pinky, and Balram are out. He is driving, but they get a little drunk and get a little high, and Ashok is in no position to drive, neither is Balram. So Pinky takes the wheel. An accident happens. They don't know what they've hit in the road. Is it a person? They're trying to cover it up. And basically, once the landlord finds out about what has happened, they basically talk Balram into, admitting that he was driving by himself and he caused this accident. And we're trying to keep Ashok out of trouble, out of jail, and what have you. Well, that doesn't go over quite so well because at some point, Balram decides that I want more out of life than just being this servant. I want to have my own business, and the only way that I can do it is somehow to betray my master. So this movie is very interesting because you really get a chance to see how the caste system works in India, at least from their perspective. And basically, you see one person from one caste system work and claw his way up to become an entrepreneur. So it was a very interesting movie. It started off very well. At some points, it got a little slow, but kind of picked up once you got to the point where the accident occurs. So that is my first recommendation, The White Tiger. I think you'll enjoy it. All right, so recommendation number two is The Honey Trap, and this too is a Netflix original, and it stars Jessica Sula and Lucien Laviscount. And this movie takes place in Britain. And it's inspired by true events. And basically, a 15-year-old young girl comes to live with her mother in Britain. Prior to that, she had lived with her grandparents and now is going to be reunited with her mother. Her mother is none too pleased that her daughter has arrived, and her mother is someone who is kind of self-centered, not a loving, nurturing mother at all, but the daughter seems to make it work. This young girl falls in love with a rapper by the name of Troy. And the rapper is quite the playboy, unbeknownst to this young lady. Well, they have somewhat of a relationship. She finds out that he cheated on her. She goes to confront him. He basically treats her like crap and throws her, basically discards her. All right. She accepts it briefly, but then she wants to get him back. So she uses a male friend of hers by the name of Sean to get her boyfriend back. So, she tries to make him jealous, et cetera, et cetera. And when the boyfriend sees her with Sean, he gets upset and demands that she never see him again. Well, she's like, well, we're just friends. He's like, nope, not having it. If you want to be with me, you got to get rid of him. And oh, by the way, I'll make sure you get rid of him because my gang and I are going to set him up to be killed, and you are going to do the dirty work for us. And she does. It doesn't end well. And so at the end of the movie, all you see is the police coming to her house and taking her and her mother in for questioning. And that's where it ends. And it was sad because what young 15-year-old girl hasn't been in love with somebody who really didn't love her all that much, but she tried to prove her love for a guy and used another guy to do it. So I enjoyed the movie. It's another, like I said, it was a Netflix original. I think it came out in 2017, but it's a good movie to watch. Watch it with maybe a teenage girl who's desperately in love with somebody. It may be a teachable moment for a parent. So that is my second recommendation. You've got revenge, you've got passion, you've got jealousy. Check out The Honey Trap. So with that, I will go to my nailed it. My first nailed it for this week is Andy Garcia in the movie Internal Affairs, where he portrays an internal affairs agent, officer, and he is trying to nail Richard Gere in some shady stuff that's going on in the police department. The scenes that really got me are two memorable scenes. One where he thinks his wife is fooling around with Richard Gere. He confronts her in a restaurant and he cusses her out something terrible in Spanish. And not that I advocate violence against a woman at all. He gives her a really, bad punch in the mouth and she falls to the ground. But then the second scene is the makeup scene between Andy and his wife. It's a very passionate love scene. So those are my reasons why I chose Andy Garcia for my first nailed it. Internal Affairs is the movie. My second nailed it is Tom Cruise in the movie A Few Good Men. Tom Cruise plays the arrogant lawyer who is defending two Marines. And the two scenes that really stand out for me is the scene where he gets drunk, had a bad day in court. He cusses Demi Moore out from head to toe because she kind of made a mistake in the courtroom. He gets pissed off. And then in the courtroom where he is questioning Jack Nicholson, and he tells him, basically, I want the truth. And then he guzzles that water after he gets Jack Nicholson to confess. And the sweat beads coming off his forehead crack me up every time I watch this movie. So that is my nailed it. Tom Cruise, A Few Good Men. So, friends, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And remember, we're available on every podcast platform in the universe. Just type in, Have You Seen It? With Charles and Denise, and there we will be. Until next week, and when Charles returns, bye-bye.